This video contains strong adult language, may not be suitable for children or sensitive people. Boom boom.
A drive to right. It is gone. A drive to left field. It is back. It is deep. Gone. Good night, Angels. Fly ball to left field. Gardner's back, and it's gone. And now this ball's hit hard into right field, and it is gone. Line drive home run for Rosario.
Swung on and drove to deep right. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Swung on and lined to deep left field. It is high. It is far. It is gone.
They're on their way. The Yankees win the wild card game. They beat the Twins 8-4. Hit hard down the right field line. It is gone.
You are shit now that your dome constructed of cheap tarp and duct tape doesn't give you a clear advantage over your opponents. Good luck with the snow for those April games. Screw cold weather. You have repeatedly gotten pwned by the Yankees over and over again, so bad in fact I gave you an entire segment in another video about getting pwned. And what the fuck happened to Justin Morneau? He disappeared off the map faster than Amelia Earhart. After ditching the garbage bag Metrodome, in which baseballs disappeared into the roof, the Twins opted for the outdoor Target Field. Opened in 2010, it's a clean and classic park, which has seen very few games canceled due to snow. We do miss Kirby Puckett and his super leaps against the hefty sack though. The Yankees took a stroll down reliever Jerry Lane, who pitched the last 4 frames and got pounded for 10 earned runs. Whitey Ford did it on both ends, pitching 7 solid innings and going 4 for 5 with 2 RBI. Yogi Berra, who may or may not have said, "It ain't over till it's over," but we knew this one was over in the first inning. The initials TC stand for the Twin Cities. So when this bear's mom gets mad at him, she yells, "Twin Cities bear, you get down here right now." He debuted in the year 2000 and gets to wear the Twins home uni with no pants, which only mascots can do in public or you with enough alcohol. Of course, pitchers cheating find themselves on this list a few times, but no incident was more hilarious or obvious than in the case of knuckleballer Joe Niekro getting caught red-handed when he poorly attempted to throw his emery board out of his pocket while being confronted by umpires in 1987. He said it was for his nails, because lots of men get manicures between innings. The site of the hefty bag where outstretched tarp was used as fencing, the Metrodome liberally used fabric and pressurized air to keep its unique roof above the dome. Well, unless it snowed. Both the Twins and the Vikings played elsewhere while the Metrodome was demolished in 2014, rebuilding US Bank Stadium on the exact site, which was opened in 2016. Before the Twins and Vikings played in the Metrodome, they played at a ballpark in the quiet Minnesota suburb of Bloomington. As the stadium aged, it became apparent it was no longer suitable for either baseball or football, and it was replaced by the aforementioned dome in 1981. The venue sat empty for 3 years and was finally demolished, leaving prime, flat real estate close to a large city. In 1992, the world's largest shopping mall, the Mall of America, was built on the former ground. Yes, a mall so obscenely huge they put a roller coaster inside of it is built on the former site of a Major League Baseball stadium. Eat your heart out, Star Core. The outside of the stadium was modeled after Churchill Downs, and it looks like it's easy to get in and out of it on game day. Also, I love that the minor league team that plays here is named the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles. Oh yeah. It's pretty tough to make Minneapolis charming, but this ballpark pulls it off. With a large extended roof to protect the fans from snow, Target Field fits your standard retro classic mold. In center is a large structure/statue which features the old Twins characters Minnie and Paul for Minneapolis and St. Paul. The exterior is limestone, chosen because they didn't want Target to look like all the other retro ballparks, but it kind of looks like all the other retro ballparks. Actually, it kind of looks like a Target. The Metrodome Milk Jug. Giant objects in stadiums aren't all that uncommon, and most of them make some sense, like the Big Apple in Citi Field or the giant glove in Oracle Park. But a huge milk jug? Look, the Metrodome was already weird to begin with. A white roof where fly balls disappeared like the Epstein list, a literal garbage bag covering the high wall in right, a plexiglass fence in left taken straight from a hockey arena, and of course, a milk jug. Towards the last days of the Metrodome's existence, the environment was getting stale and needed a refresher. So they did what any sane group of people would do, a giant inflatable plastic dairy container sponsored by Land O'Lakes, which is headquartered in Minnesota. If this isn't the most Midwest thing on earth, I don't know what is. You betcha. When the Twins moved to Target Field, the jug didn't come with them, and I am utterly unsure of the fate of this installation. I'm willing to bet it's in some executive's garage and they bust it out on their front lawn every Christmas just to impress the neighbors. Or maybe they hand out quarts of milk on Halloween. The jug lives on virtually in MLB The Show 2020. Number 11, the Minnesota Twins. Who else misses Kirby Puckett? For those of us who were lucky enough to see him play, he was an absolute treat on the diamond. Facing elimination in Game 6 of the 1991 World Series, Puckett came to bat in the bottom of the 11. Kirby had saved the game earlier with one of his signature catches. Well, he didn't puck around in this at-bat, crushing this cookie from Charlie Lebrand, which prompted Jack Buck's iconic call.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Truly one of the most memorable home runs in MLB history. Target Field, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Target Field was placed on an 8-acre site in the warehouse district of Minneapolis that was flat like your mom because it was a giant parking lot. What's interesting is they kept the parking garage that was already there as it serves both the Target Center and Target Field. Now, adjacent to Target Field is a huge garbage incinerator called the Herc.
TC Bear, Minnesota Twins. I have nothing against bears, but why the hell is the Twins mascot a bear? I mean, come on, Twins marketing team, you can do better than this. Also, why does the bear look like it just zeroed in on a bunch of children to eat? I'm very disappointed. Grade C. Minnesota Twins. Byron Buxton just got hurt again while I said this. Such a shame. In very Marlins-like fashion, the Twins only made the playoffs twice from 1971 to 2001 and won the title both times. They've won one playoff series since 1992 and now merely exist to get their backs blown out by the Yankees. But forget about playoff series. The Twins have lost 18 straight playoff games, the longest postseason losing streak not just in MLB history, but sports history. Kirby Puckett was a piece of shit.
Minnesota. That's all I need to say. There are free falls of epic proportions, but this was a collapse. The Twins were 70-53 in mid-August. They were fighting for the division lead. They had a 96% chance of making it to the postseason in early September. Yet apparently the team got struck with a boss attack for critical damage. 12 whole wins to go with 25 losses to end their year. This is fried chicken and beer levels of implosion. Yet it felt so unavoidable if you look into it. Twins are built with no depth and an oft-injured core. Royce Lewis, Byron Buxton, and Carlos Correa are great players when they're able to get on the field. With those three, you'd be lucky to get them in half the games. And the guys they were hoping to make an impact are getting injured too. It also doesn't help when the bats both get ice cold and anti-clutch at the same time, rivaling the White Sox in hitting prowess in September. The only thing holding the fort was a generational run by Matt fucking Wohner. Do you trust their pitching? You did your shit out of luck. Sure, Ober and Lopez were good, but what else did they have? Predictable injuries forced a bunch of rookies into the rotation, and they got shelled. And I mean shelled. A good chunk of the bullpen was crumbling at the same time. What this leads to being revealed as White Sox merchants behind the curtain. Detroit snuck in the back door. Minnesota's probably going to make Baldelli or a few players the scapegoat for this spontaneous combustion, but it's really the result of one thing. The Pohlats got chicken shit. Explain the scenario. The Twins have their greatest season since raising the Commissioner's Trophy. Fan interest is at an all-time high, yet you drastically cut payroll by $30 million? I know the RSN deal lapsed, but you'd think you'd have found a viable way to make games more available on TV or something? The apathy was proven in July. They did jack and shit at the deadline. Their prize acquisition of Trevor Richards was so awful he got DFA'd in a month. I know, but the RSN deal, they'll cry. Look at the fucking Padres. They lost their RSN deal and cut payroll too. But they added significant pieces when they saw there was a chance to go far. That's what real teams do. They keep Sonny Gray around and add more at the deadline, they make the playoffs. Simple as that. This whole year took a fan base and slapped them across the face. Team ownership cheaped the fuck out and are reaping the rewards for cutting costs. Implosions. Choking. Absolute embarrassments. Turns out the Pohlats need to make a few more cuts, unfortunately. They worked so hard to get that full name back, too. Fuck the Pohlats.
Swing and a miss. Finally, 21 years in the making. And the Twins advance with a victory in 2 straight over Toronto. And they will beat the Houston Astros in the ALDS.
Take yourself back to this moment in time. What feelings do you experience? Jubilation? Vindication? Relief? Almost 2 decades of futility finally forgotten with the roar of a home crowd. It was their time to once again bask in the sun. They had some good teams in the past, yes, but ages had passed since Minnesota had legitimate hope. Flashes of Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau, and Julio Santana, yet nothing truly concrete. But this was a chance to make themselves known. And with house money, of all things. Houston's a brutal opponent in the ALDS, yes, yet the Twins had immense talent. A core of dreams with Byron Buxton, Royce Lewis, and Carlos Correa. An elite bullpen rivaling some of the best in the league. Strong starting rotation depth. A quality farm system. Despite coming up short, losing to the Astros is no shame at all. An outstanding showing worthy of applause. Twin social media even reiterated it. This season was different. Imagine what next season could be. Actually, don't imagine. Believe. If that isn't the biggest crock of shit I've ever seen in my life, it has to be up there. Imagine telling Minnesotans back then that this would be their fate. Thank God the Vikings and Timberwolves have some semblance of promise, or else it'd be worse than living in Duluth. There's no need to dissect or analyze what the hell happened or how things fell apart. All roads lead to one bottleneck. The Pohlats. Somewhere in hell, Carl smiles at their continued penny-pinching and juicy-loosey-fisted tactics. You can pinpoint the moment when everything started to fall apart for this team. And it wasn't in 2024 as you might believe. Think earlier. Jim became Joe. Jim Pohlat, for all his faults, at least invested significant sums of cash into the franchise. Emphasis in player development and analytics. Cutting-edge stadium upgrades. Fuck, the dude approved the massive splash to get Carlos Correa despite warnings and concerns about his health. Josh Donaldson was a huge get for them as well. Consistent upgrades all around. With Joe Pohlat, it morphed into excuses. They had their best season in decades, but the bottom line wasn't adding up. Payroll had to be significantly slashed. The advances in development could no longer be funded. There are RSN deal lapse, which does put a dent in revenues, but they reached a deal with Valley for the year in mid-March. Losing Sonny Gray sucked. Not doing a damn thing sucked worse. Not even a trade to reallocate resources? Maybe they were assuming that Comcast would drop Valley right into the 2024 campaign or something. Casus Belli to continue to do nothing. No additions, no philosophy, no movement at or before the deadline. Just a token trade for a guy who was DFA'd weeks later. So it's a team playing well over its head, suffering a loss of talent and getting no support from a chicken shit ownership group. We know how the story ends. Oh my god. How the hell are you $425 million in debt? COVID year fucked them up that much? How much is the interest on the stadium renovations they financed? So in order to pay off this debt, the Pohlats make the tough decision to sell the team. Sell in heavy quotations. I know there are plenty of upgrades to Target Field, but is it really worth a $1.7 billion price tag? That screams we'll sell the team only if you blow our socks off. Here's the equation. Ridiculous cost plus uncertain revenue streams divided by not budging off that number equal no sale. Anyone with even a passing interest balked. Justin Ishbia was interested in the Twins but wisely backed the hell out. He proceeded to invest his money logically. Wait a minute, he bought more shares of the White Sox? At least Minnesota isn't like the White Sox on the field this year. That May of theirs? Their team in peak form. Despite all of the bullshit and face of the misery and skinflint situations, they were thriving. A 13-game winning streak. Well above 500 headed into June. The AL Central was probably out of reach, but a date with a wild card was a very realistic possibility. Then it all just fell apart. Last year's cancer was merely in remission. It was now metastasizing throughout the organization. An unraveling to end all unraveling. Not just on the field, but in the locker room. Culture problems and schisms destroying the clubhouse from within. Uncertainty and unease seeped into every crack. Fractures appearing throughout the foundation. Old flaws rearing their ugly head. A 9-18 June was merely a symptom to baseball death. Any attempts at fixing it were too late. The spiral would only continue. You can't predict Jorge Alcala falling off the map like he did. That shit happens. What you can predict is a talented core known for being injury-prone getting injured. Lewis and Buxton have all spent time on the IL this season. And in seasons past. Carlos Correa was the real bummer, though. It's not that he hasn't been healthy, his leadership's been getting criticized. And he's been in decline, slowly losing ability and range at shortstop. Correa needs to move off it. He even suggested going to third base for the last 2 years, but they turned him down. Not to mention his struggles at the plate. Mirrored Bailey Ober's struggles on the mound, and the team's hitting on the road. So with a whirlwind of chaos, ownership only interested in paying off debt, and a locker room on the brink of collapse, it wasn't if they pulled the plug. It was when. Inevitability is dreaded, but sometimes it stuns even those that expect the worst. Come the 2025 deadline, Judgment Day arrived. Deafening silence. Slow realization of life coming to an end. Each burst of heat rushing past you vaporized without a trace. Twins as we knew them were no more. 10 of 26 players scattered into the winds. Wait, I forgot Chris Paddock. That would be 11 players traded. The thing is, a few of these trades made sense in a vacuum. The vets on expiring contracts were always on their way out after that slump. And that includes their big free agent splurges on Bader, France, and Colombe. Willie Castro and Paddock were free agents to be as well. But some of these moves didn't make any damn sense. Why dismantle the entirety of that elite bullpen? Yohan Duran, I guess you could justify with the mass sell-off and the prospect return, but what about Louis Varland? The dude has another year of pre-arbitration. He's a local boy who loved the team and the city. So why cast him off to Canada for pennies on the dollar? Griffin Jax for Taj Bradley? I know Jax was beefing with Rocco, but Bradley hasn't even been good at this level. Brock Stewart traded for James Outman? He hasn't been relevant in 2 years. And Carlos Correa? Don't get me wrong, he's had a very subpar season for his standards and should be moved off short, but to cast him off in a pure salary dump? And pay Houston $33 million to make him go away? Darkness slowly sets onto a nuclear wasteland, waving the white flag on this window with a barrage of cap dumps and bargain bin sales. What a fucking way to kill a franchise in one fell swoop. And it could have been worse. They'd have traded Christian Vasquez too, but he's hurt. Same as Pablo Lopez, probably. It's the culmination of years of spineless chicken shit ownership. The Pohlads had all the goodwill in the world and rewarded the fans by foreclosing the team like Carl did farms during the Depression. The bleakest time for Minnesota baseball since nearly being contracted. Technicalities won't save them here. All the T's can do is bleed out on the side of the road. Their organs melting away with a lack of hitting in the process. Yet for all of this, the incredible failure by ownership on all fronts to support the team and more, there was a slight glimmer of hope. The sell-off might have freed up enough on the balance sheet for the Pohlads to sell this diseased carcass of a franchise. They've claimed that there's a mystery buyer out there lurking in the shadows. A bittersweet ending. If it even got to that. No, my friends, the Pohlads decided that they did a good enough job in their half-hearted attempt at moving on. They threw their hands in the air and said, you know what? We're staying put.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving!
feels like the end of Animal Farm. You know, when the pigs and humans end up in cahoots and partner to abuse those promised a better life. Fans are the ones sitting on the outside looking in as the pole lads pull a fast one and rip their heart and souls out to a T. But don't you worry, kids. The mystery investors are gonna save the franchise in the end. The pole lads are keeping majority ownership, though. Fuck you. This time there is no hope. At least when the team was set for dismantling 25 years ago, they had championship memories of the early 90s. What do they have now? A fucking wildcard series? Is that worth selling the team down the river? To give the fans and players the old switcheroo and take the land of 1,000 lakes for some zirconia? I've heard of teams nuking it because they think they can't compete with their core. Hell, the Marlins blow it up every 5 years due to cheap ownership and flawed roster construction, but this is different than that. It's become toxic. Not just in the locker room, not just with the fan base relations, but with the franchise itself. You can't expect us to believe that things are going to be any different with the same damn Ponzi schemers at the top. Pulled the wool over their eyes one too many times. It won't work again. Even if there's winning in their future, their true character's been revealed. And it's cancerous. This organization has become forfeit. A testament to the evils and vices of baseball. The Fabergé egg of the league rotting away on the inside with franchises like this. With a year full of terrible teams all over the place, it says something when the T's might be serving a hot dish of the worst shit. But what stings the most? Going back to that 2023 wildcard series against Toronto, there are only 8 players remaining from that roster still on the team. It's been less than 2 years. And how many of those are on the outs this winter? Joe Ryan nearly got traded at the deadline. Pablo Lopez might get dumped due to his salary. They'll get an incredible package for Royce Lewis, injury prone and all, if they choose to move him. Edouard Julien's a DFA candidate. Ober and Jeffers are maybes to go in principle. But what about Byron Buxton? He wants to stay here. He's turned down chances to waive his no-trade clause, but how long will that last? Especially since they traded his good friend in Korea. Sport is a fickle mistress. And if this shit's gonna be the end product, I don't know if anyone wants to live through the fallout. The only thing the Pollads will give you for radiation sickness? A bucket of baseballs. This season was different, alright. It started with promise, it ends with death. The Yankees will piss on their